So you've got your first inquiry or actually you might have had multiple inquiries by now, and you are now responding to the leads. Obviously, yourself, you've got a lot of experience. You've trained up a team on actually this exact process. So I've got a few questions for you. What should your first message to a lead look like? Should you have loads of details going back and forth? Should you keep it simple? What are you looking at?
So personally, instead of the first message is just kind of grabbing the traction to make certain you're responding to say, thanks a lot, I've received your lead, and just asking a very simple question for them to respond back to your email. So it's, for my opinion, it's about the service of responding as quickly as possible. So we did a lot of data studies, and we showed that if people started to respond to a lead, literally if it came from like they didn't respond for a day, it was pretty much non-existent. If they responded within an hour, it became like 10x more better response than responding within the day. If it was within 30 minutes, it was a lot better. And basically, more and more as the time reduced down, as you were responding to them leads faster, you got much higher conversion. So in my opinion, for me, if I'm dealing with any company and I'm generating them leads or we're getting leads ourselves, we need to be responding as fast as possible. So it's about the response time, and then physically, just a very simple message, not having links or videos or anything in there, a plain text, thanks a lot for the inquiry, please can you give us this bit of information? It's a very simple response, just asking them for something, just so then you've got the communication going back and forth on email. Yep. That first email, sometimes the first email when you're responding might go into their spam or into their junk because you've never sent them an email before. That's why I like it being plain text. If you start having it where it's got like images or videos or links through to their website, like all that increases the chances of it going into junk or spam. So I just want a plain text, very simple response as soon as possible when responding to leads.
So when responding to the first inquiry that's come through, very super plain email, would you have like a footer template like for example my picture? So you wouldn't have that at all?
On the first email I'm going back with, I'm just literally a plain text, thanks a lot for the inquiry, and then I'm asking them a question. Right. So the question could be, when you're looking to have these works done, can you give me more information about this? Can you send me some photos with regards to what you're inquiring about?
So you kind of super plain email and you're just striking a conversation.
Exactly that. I'm just prompting that fast response. Wow, that was impressive how quickly they responded. It's unique specifically to them and asking them a question. And it has to be an open-ended question. You need them to respond back to you. And then after that, so once you've inboxed and they've responded, they go on like the save senders list from there. And then from there.
So then, obviously, right now you're talking a lot about email, but what should you be replying back to? Should you always be replying back to email, or would you potentially sometimes send them an SMS? I know WhatsApp is pretty big right now, or potentially even phone them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it completely depends on the niche. So, like, if I'm an emergency locksmith and someone does fill in a form and online, I'm ringing them straight away because they're not going to be waiting for an email to come back. They're wanting to speak to someone. They're locked out the car or they're locked out the house. But some people, if they're wanting information and data, it might be better via email that it goes back and forth on. So there's times like within the call centre, what they'll do is they'll email, but then they'll also WhatsApp or text to say, when's the best time to call? Do you want to call? And you're asking them, do they want to pick up the phone and speak to someone? If they do, they can book in a call with the right engineer or the right mortgage broker or the right financial advisor, or it could be the business owner or whoever it could be, the surveyor, like whoever, what department needs to speak to them. But normally prior to speaking to them, I like to get the information, ideally on an email or WhatsApp can work, but I'd like to get the information to them, pass it to the right person who can then speak to them within whatever company that they're dealing with.
So another question, and you've kind of went over this already, but how quickly should I be responding to leads?
So the faster the better, right? So prime example, we do a little bit of lead generation in the financial sector. We've got KPIs set in place that we want to respond within 23 seconds.
Right, okay.
So that is like ridiculously fast. I'm not saying that every business can do that, but that is the ideal. So the closer you can get, the faster, as soon as the inquiry comes in, the faster you respond, the better the chances are of converting that job. Sometimes we decline clients, and sometimes a business owner might come to us and say that they're the ones that are going doing, let's say, loft insulation or installing artificial grass in a garden. And they're the ones that are going doing it. And then overnight they come back and then they're trying to do the emails and the quotes. And like they might not responded for 6 or 7 hours. That affects my inquiries that I'm sending to that company because they're not responding fast enough. So we might end up saying, look, we're going to have to send these to a company that's going to respond faster to the lead. The answer to your question is the faster you can respond to the inquiry and get that conversation going, the better that it is, because they might fill that form in or inquire with 3 or 4 different companies. And generally speaking, once they've had that interaction with the first company, they're going, wow, these are good. And they're going back and forth, they're getting the photos that they might need, or they're getting the information that they might need. The faster, the better.
Right, okay. And then let's say, for example, for some of the more established businesses, this might be an issue. How should I decide which leads to respond to?
So that's a great question. So if you don't work in a certain area and it goes out of your area, then you can just delete the inquiry if needs be. But generally speaking, you want to try and deal with a company that you're generating leads for, that one, they do the service that the person that's inquiring is asking for, and 2, it's in the area of where they're kind of inquiring. And then hopefully then like you're going, yeah, this is the perfect lead for them. If it's not, this is where it definitely poses a problem. If you're paying per lead and then you're getting what I class as being unqualified leads, well, that's a problem. I'm paying 50, 60, 80, 100 pounds for a lead that isn't really a service or a product of what I do, and it's outside of my geolocation of where I cover. Well, that's not good. But if you're working with, let's say, someone like Fatrank that don't charge you for the leads, and it is a product that you don't do, if you spoke to one of the sales representatives and said, look, you generate me a lot of leads for this, we don't do it, we only do that. If they say, well, look, this is the same, it's the same search for this and this, you're going to get some. At that point, if it's one that you can't convert, you either delete or Fatrank might decide to send on to another company that might be able to deal with that inquiry.
Right, okay. And then is it normal for all leads to reply back to you? Like there's a lot of people that say, like, why have I not heard back from this customer?
So that's a great question, and I don't know why this is, but generally speaking, 50% of leads that get generated online, you don't get a response from. And that goes across all industries. Now, we're in over 500 different industries, and I would still to this day, it's the bane of my life of being, why has someone inquired and you've responded within 2 minutes and then they don't end up responding back to you? And you're like, you've just inquired.
Yeah.
And you're saying you want loft insulation, and we're saying, not a problem, can you send us a picture of your loft? And they don't respond. And you're like, why have you just inquired? It could be bots, it could be competitors seeing who you are. It could be that it does go into the spam and it doesn't get sent through to them. This is why sometimes a follow-up with regards to maybe a WhatsApp or a text or a phone call, if they don't respond on email, could be worth it, because they might go, oh, they've not responded, they're a bad client. Their inbox might have declined it. It might not have even gone into the junk or the spam, or it could have gone in the junk and spam and it's been lost. So for that reason, this is why a follow-up's important with a second email or with a text, a WhatsApp or a phone call. But yes, even when you do everything from a text, a WhatsApp, an email, call, sometimes the number's incorrect, the email isn't there, and it's just like, wow. So generally speaking, when you are looking to purchase leads, 50% you're not even going to get a hold of. And then normally, if you've got a good lead generator, 50% of the 50% you get hold of normally are interested in exactly what you sell. Yeah. So you're down to 1 in 4, so 25%. And then it then comes down to price. So you're up against a few of the others. Generally speaking, it does vary from niche to niche, around 10 to 15% of cold web leads would turn into an order.
Right, okay. And then you're obviously a really big fan of this. You've literally got the entire team trained up on this. But for anybody that doesn't know, what is one-click response and how can it help me?
One-click response is input. So it's just about, again, it just comes back down to speed. So you've got to be trying to get your systems and processes in place that people ask the same questions. So if you are brilliant at fitting grass and gardens, well, generally speaking, they might start saying, is it dog friendly? They might start asking, what sub base is needed? Can I install it on top of this? So if you're ready for those questions and you've got one-click responses to them, and you've got all your frequently asked questions in place, again, the response is so quick. You're getting them from a cold web lead of them filling it in to answering all their questions into being, wow, these know everything what I'm going to ask. And they're actually answering it. Once you've got like a one-click response and a really nice email set up to explain everything with regards to the sub bases or whatever it could be, like what's the mortgage rates, where's the best lender, it could be anything depending on the niche. The one-click responses to give that service is key.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously at Fatrank, we do exclusive leads. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what exclusive leads are and why you prefer that model as opposed to a cost per lead model?
So in my opinion, exclusive leads are very important because if you're not getting exclusive leads, that means that inquiry is being sent to 5 or 10 different companies, right? Generally speaking then, it's a race to the bottom on price, because you're up against all your competitors that are also getting that exact same lead. And at that point, majority of people, they might not go with the cheapest price. They'll like to say they go with best value, but normally it's the cheapest price. So at that point then, you are at a race to the bottom. Where an exclusive lead, you are the only one that's getting the lead. Now, the customer might fill in a form on several different websites, so they still might be looking for different prices. But if you can get that service and respond to them very quickly, and you're the only one that's getting it exclusively from the lead generation site of where it's being sent from, your conversion rate is so much higher, and you can be charging the prices that you think is fair and not be a race to the bottom on price.
So for any business owners that do want exclusive leads, where should they go?
So Fatrank's got an exclusive lead generation model. If you head on over to fatrank.com and then go to the /contact us page, and then what you can then turn around and do is fill in your form, explain the industry that you're in, and the demographic of where you work. It's a completely zero risk supply of inquiries, so you don't pay anything for SEO, for PPC, for social media. You only pay on converted jobs. Big caveat to this is one of the big, like this video here is talking about the response time of leads. This is one of the biggest questions that we want to be asking you. If you are not going to be able to respond to the inquiries and it's going to take 2 or 3 hours to respond, we're probably not going to work with you, because the response time of the leads is very important. And because you're responding very slowly, it might end up meaning that our leads that we're generating, which could be a quality lead, because of your response times, you're not converting it. And for that reason, we might not want to work with yourself as the company that's taking the leads in. So head on over to fatrank.com, see whether you qualify. If you're in an industry that we can generate leads for, then like you said, it's only pay on converted jobs. But something we are looking for is the response times of those leads that we're generating. It has to be fast to generate that service that the person that's inquiring will go, yes, I want to work with this company.